Major Spoilers podcast covers news, reviews, and of course, spoilers, and goes into details about the topics discussed. So if you haven't read, listened, or watched the items we talk about, you might want to come back later.
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Steven, and you're listening to the Major Spoilers podcast, the podcast for pop culture and comic fans.
In this issue, the first family of Marvel Comics is back, and they brought an ice cream cake, or an alien. It's honestly hard to tell. Speaking of ice cream, Ricardus is back. Superman is in the theaters, and more The Sixth Gun, which always makes Steven happy. We've got it all from soup to nuts, and you're going to need them if you read them, or if you write, walk, or think about it. Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here, and the Major Spoilers podcast is indubitably on the air.
Welcome to issue 1135 of the Major Spoilers podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and checking us out this week. Matthew is here this week. No Rodrigo.
Hello.
I think it's because he's probably going to see Superman again ahead of the before the Fantastic Four gets in. Fantastic Four in theaters this weekend. You're probably not going to go see that either.
I'll see it when it shows up on streaming by the end of the year.
Yeah. So Superman is doing really well for the second week in a row. I think it's over 400 million in the box office now. Question. How long should the Superman movie stay in theaters? Right now, the general run for movies is about 3 to 4 weeks. It used to be a movie would be in theaters, and this is, again, between the year 1995 and probably 2020. Movies would try to stay in theaters about 10 weeks. Definitely in 95, it was a 10-week run, unless it was just the worst thing in the world and they had to yank it early. But usually it used to be a 10-week run. Now we're around 3 or 4 weeks. How long should Superman stay in the theaters?
I'm going to say 17 weeks.
You think? How come?
Well, 17 times 7 is about 129, which is a subprime number. And if you go back and you look at the numerology of crypto,
so you're just making up a number. You have no real reasoning behind that number.
I always like longer runs in the theaters. I miss the days when, a movie would be like popular and it would just stay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Local theater would be like, we're going to play this until we're done.
Yeah. No. That Planet of the Apes movie, not the current iteration universe, but the one with Marky Mark in it. That one stayed in our local theater for like 6 months. I was so tired of driving past the movie theater and seeing that the Planet of the Apes was, and Look Who's Talking To, we're still in the theater for 6 months. And I was like, well, I don't blame them. People must still be going to it. And so, that's fine by me. And if it's making money for the movie theater and it's making money for the studio, then I don't have a problem with it. I think Black Panther was still in theaters when it came out on digital. So I think Black Panther ran for almost a year in theaters because it was just doing so much money for, especially in Black communities where, Black Panther did very well for representation. I'm thinking that with the success of this, and I think with the hype engine going, if there were movie theaters, and unfortunately we're moving into a monopoly of a movie theater chain, I think that it would probably be a good idea for Superman to try and stay in the movie theater or movie theater runs until Christmas. I would be totally okay with that. I mean, I still won't be able to see it until it comes on digital, but if it means in Christmas it's in a dollar theater, or even if it's a promotional re-release between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would be okay with that. I don't have a problem with that, with a movie staying in the theater as long as it's making money. I really don't. Then again, people who've been listening to this show for years also know that I'm a big advocate of day and date release on digital, which I also think is a good thing. Maybe not for the movie theaters, and unfortunately, the movie theaters have got the movie industry by the things that I think it's fine if they want to keep it in theaters forever. No big deal to me. Now, speaking of Superman, there's some Superman merchandise, Matthew, that is available now that I'm just in love with. And I'd like to tell you more, dear listeners. But if you want to find out about that Superman merch and how it's out of my reach, just like flying is out of my reach, then you need to go and check out the Major Spoilers Podcast pre-show, where we talk all about this little piece of Superman merchandise and how gorgeous it is. You can only get the pre-show if you are a silver level member or higher on our Patreon page, patreon.com/major spoilers. Find out more over there. You have more thoughts about the Superman movie and how long it should stay in theaters. Also, check out our Discord server. It's where you can go and find out what's going on, hang out with some cool people from around the world. And I'm talking about around the world. I mean, they're around the world. They're a great group of people over there. If you need, if you're looking for a great community, there are people that have been part of our Major Spoilers community for as long as Major Spoilers has been around. I think J. Michael T. has been around the longest, and I think that the Great NATO would probably be our second longest person that's been around continuously. But there's some other people, like Just the Red. She said 16 years is how long she's been part of our community. That's a long time. Yeah. So if you're not part of the community, it's not too late. Get over onto our Discord server. You can join the Discord server for free. Link in the show notes. And if you want to hear me talk about a really cool piece of Superman merch, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/major spoilers. Okay. Let us do some reviews. In stores this week, Ice Cream Man number 44, Matthew. What kind of horrors does Ice Cream Man bring to town with his ring-a-ding-ding bell this week?
The most horrifying thing I have ever seen in this book, and this is a book where an entire issue was devoted to ice cream filled with insects.
Yeah.
This is a book where an entire issue dealt with a point of view character who was suffering from ongoing dementia, and things were disappearing. Words were disappearing. Everything was disappearing from his view. And so he had these horrifying visions, but also it turns out that they were probably not real, except maybe they were. And it's hard to say if they were or they weren't. But this is the most horrifying thing you've ever seen, because we see the story of a corporate drone.
Now, is
Craig,
are you saying corporate drone as in
human resources?
Are you talking about a corporate drone as in the nomenclature of a corporate drone, or is this guy literally a drone?
No, he's a human being.
Oh, okay.
But it basically, the story, the cover is actually brilliant. The cover is the his personnel file. So a lot of what you're going to see in the issue is set up on the cover. It's actually the kind of thing that I really love. This is Ice Cream Man, as always, written by W. Maxwell Prince, art by Martin Morazzo, coloring and I believe post-production by Chris O'Halloran. This book has, from the beginning, just grabbed me in just an utterly horrifying kind of Twilight Zone, Stephen King kind of way. And it is, not so long ago, I remember complaining about something being super grim and horrifying and just overwhelmingly bleak. Yeah, that's this. But for some reason, it speaks to me. And the fact that this issue, the horror is actually all about living with a corporate job where you are just an ineffective middle management suck up, or in this case, the junior associate manager of abstract compliance. And abstract compliance is very important at the Holt Center for Nondescript Corporate Activities and Discrete Manufacturing. If you've been paying attention, the Holt Corporation is a recurring theme. I don't know if this book has an end game. I honestly kind of hope that it doesn't. I would like to see Ice Cream Man just go on and on and on. I feel like this particular issue has come out after a long, long absence. I want to say it was initially supposed to be out this spring after like a 3 or 4 month break. But it's here. It's now. And first off, I do want to warn you, if, like myself, you do work for an ineffectual middle management suck-up, or if you work in a soulless corporate entity where you go in and,
Major Spoilers is not a soulless corporate entity.
No, I'm not talking about you. You know, I have other jobs, right?
I'm just making it clear to the audience in case they are mistaken. Of course, I don't have to explain it to you.
Well, right. I mean, first of all, here I'm not employee number 2253579, but more importantly, I think I'm like employee number 4. But it's also the fact that I don't necessarily walk away from everything related to major spoilers filled with dread and existential doubt, as I did when I worked in a call center or when I worked in, good Lord, I worked in marketing once for a dog food company. My major duties were proofreading. And of course, proofreading for me is a relatively quick process. I'm a very fast reader, always have been. And the people with whom I worked did not believe me that I was proofreading appropriately because I wasn't taking enough time. So what I had to do was proofread slower so that it didn't seem like I was missing things, even though I wasn't missing things. And even though my coworkers still missed things while reading slower, but I was ruining the curve. And so if that story speaks to you, first off, I'm sorry. Second of all that time you spent ironing the shirt, it's never coming back. And third, and most importantly, Ice Cream Man number 44 is haunting. It is chilling. It is just soul crushing. And that's, in this case, all a good thing. 4.5 slices of meatloaf for Ice Cream Man number 44. It does speak directly to me because some of this is my experience, but I feel like it's universal enough that, if maybe you work on a farm and your farm boss is a schmendrick, I don't know. Maybe you work in education. Let's say you're in education. Maybe you're an assistant dean working for a provost, and you're like, oh, this provost, he doesn't know anything. I don't know. Nobody listens to me, man. Why does nobody listen to me? And then you hear your voice echoing through your own skull, and you have that moment like Evelyn in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and your fingers turn to hot dogs. These things, if they happen to you, Ice Cream Man may help. Ask your doctor if Ice Cream Man is right for you. 4.5 slices of meatloaf.
Very cool. Ice Cream Man number 44 out this week. Now, Matthew, are you aware of this big Ice Cream Man thing that's coming out in October? This is, I think it's something very unique, probably only going to happen one time in our lifetimes. And that is Ice Cream Man, the Mortal Coil Shuffle. This is an Ice Cream Man comic book that is told via a 55 card playing deck. So the cards kind of look like Magic the Gathering cards without being called Magic the Gathering cards. But they're narrative cards, there are spell cards, and they tell the story a different way. Here's the solicitation. Ice Cream Man, the Mortar Coil Shuffle is a beautiful custom-designed deck of cards featuring custom backs, custom box, custom art by, your regular gang of idiots. Some cards tell part of the story, while other cards cast inscrutable spells on unwitting characters, and some must be joined with other cards to form a complete piece of art. It's a first-of-its-kind comic experiment, and also, perhaps, the last. I don't know what the price is on this thing, but it will only be printed once. So if you want this thing, Matthew, and I know you probably do because you love Ice Cream Man and you love Magic the Gathering, then you probably need to find an LCS that will that hasn't banned you, and you probably ought to order this. You might be able to get it on like Amazon or something like that.
Why do you make it sound like I'm banned from most LCSs?
I mean, I don't know how many you've been banned from.
One time.
There's only like one. There's only one comic book store in Topeka right now. So,
it's actually 3 now.
Really? Okay.
Most of them are pretty
are all part of the same chain. So yeah, seriously, Matthew, I think you might be very interested in Ice Cream Man, the Mortal Coil Shuffle. Comes out on October 1st, comic book shops. Let's see if it's up on Amazon. Dear listener, if you want to get any of the things that we talk about on the show, then you probably should check out our Amazon links that we have in our show notes. They take you to our affiliate page, and anything that you buy through that link A little bit comes back to us. Mortal Coil Shuffle is not up on the Amazon as of yet, Matthew. So you may literally have to go to, you may have to go to a comic book store and make sure they pre-order this thing.
I mean,
I think we lost you. Matthew is so shocked. I think the Mortal Coil Shuffle has gone rushed to his head and given him a brain freeze
behind the couch.
But this looks really interesting. I'm kind of interested in seeing if I can get my hands on this. Just in the, I don't know if it's like a choose your own adventure. I mean, it's kind of that way. But I think being able to shuffle this deck and creating a different story each time is rather fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it when they play with the narrative. These are the guys who did an entire issue that was a palindrome.
Yeah.
Like a visual palindrome. So the first page was the same as the last page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. So that is Ice Cream Man this week. And for listeners who are maybe into some experimental narrative storytelling or nonlinear narrative storytelling, Ice Cream Man Mortal Coil Shuffle out on October 1st. And it does say only in comic book shops. So I don't think you're going to be able to go to Barnes & Noble or B. Dalton and pick any of those up. So just be aware, because I don't want somebody striding into their B. Dalton with their Orange Julius in hand and saying, "Yes, I would like an Ice Cream Man Mortal Coil Shuffle, my good man, and make haste. I have a hot dog on a stick to be getting to." Because I don't think they're going to have it. Actually, I think you should
do that.
I think you should go into a B. Dalton with your Orange Julius, and you should say that. "And by the way, my man, is the latest Dark Tower available? I would take one of those, please." I think that's how you should. That's how you should approach any B. Daltons that you see in the future.
Yes. Any B. Daltons that you see, you should approach cautiously because it's clearly
there's actually still one. There's still one in Salina. There's still a B. Dalton in Salina. Yeah.
It was right next to the last.
It is. Sure. Well, I think it's not Tower Records, but there's like not Books A Million, but it's something along that line, somewhere between Tower Records and Books A Million. There's a store, and it's right next to that. Unfortunately, it is at a dying mall, and we went there probably about a month or so ago, looking for Pokemon cards, and that place is so dead. But there is a B. Dalton in there, so there you go. All right, out this week from Oni Press, it's The Sixth Gun, Battle for the Sixth #1. Now, Rodrigo reviewed Prelude, the #0 comic, about a month ago. This is the official first issue in the 3-issue miniseries. This story takes place, of course, after Becky reset the universe in the pages of The Sixth Gun, and it features a lot of new characters. Well, they're not really new characters. If you have read the Shadow Roads series, I think that was 10 or 20 issues, somewhere around there, that featured all of the characters. All of the characters from the Shadow Roads series are back. They are using the Crossroads to try and stop the quote-unquote bad guys from diving in. So when the universe was reset, the barrier between realities is very thin. Kind of like when I go to sleep, Matthew, and I go and live vicariously through my other selves in other universes. That's kind of what's going on here, in that people dream, and they're dreaming of this previous reality, which has pointers and clues to where the six guns reside in the current reality. So our good guys are using the Crossroads to basically pop around the world, trying to get their hands on what's going on before the bad team does. And this first issue features them trying to keep the baddies from getting the first gun, which, a little bit of a spoiler alert, they are not able to stop the baddies from getting the first gun. And dear listener, if you're not familiar with The Sixth Gun, we reviewed this series way back in the long ago times on the Major Spoilers podcast. It is really good. But the point is, if you have all 6 guns, you are essentially immortal, and you can rewrite reality, reshape reality to any way that you want. And that's kind of appealing to bad people, especially in this day and age. And so this features a lot of familiar characters from Shadow Roads. So it may be confusing if you didn't read that series. I suggest you do. It's good. It's short. And it gets you set up for what's going on here in Battle for the Six. I really enjoyed this a lot. Everybody's back. Cullen Bunn is writing. Brian Hurt is doing the art on this. I think one of my biggest complaints about this is the crossroads. Now, the crossroads, this mythical thing that if you go down to the crossroads, you can meet the devil, and if you give him some whiskey, he will grant you, your fondest desire, monkey paw, your fondest monkey paw desire. But the way that it's portrayed in this book and how they are literally residing in another dimension, or what appears to be another dimension called the crossroads, is very similar to what we saw in Harrow County, which Cullen Bunn also wrote. You remember when, what is her name? Emmy, when she went and all of her other Haint ancestors, they all gathered in that one house, like at the end of the world or whatever it is. That's kind of what the crossroads is, which makes me wonder if maybe the Sixth Gun and Harrow County share some kind of reality with one another. But yeah, that was probably the only thing that I had the biggest kind of problem with, is that those two ideas kind of overlap one another in a way that I didn't really, felt rehashed. But then again, there's somebody that shows up at the end of this book that if this were a movie, the audience would be going nuts in the closing as the post-credits roll and this person walks in and the whole audience goes nuts, and then it'll say, "To be continued in Battle for the Six #2, out next week from Oni Press," or out next month from Oni Press. Really good book. Really enjoyed it. This is not a jumping on point. At the bare minimum, you need to read Shadow Roads. You probably ought to read all 10 volumes of The Sixth Gun as well in order to really appreciate it. But I think that this did good. This filled all the nooks and crannies that have been empty since The Sixth Gun departed many eons ago, and I liked it. 4 slices of meatloaf out of 5. It's out this week from Oni Press. It is a $5.99 book, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Thank you, everyone who supports the show and all the shows in the Major Spoilers Podcast Network. This week, we are sending our thanks out to Clay Carver, our newest gold member. This episode's for you, Clay. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, if you want to get a shout out right here on the show, doesn't matter if you sign up at the $2 level, the $5 level, the $10 level, the $25 level, the $15,000 level. Yes, we do have a $15,000 level that if you sign up for that, we will fly to your house and we will do a show from your house, take you out to dinner, wreck your toilet. If you sign up today for $15,000 at patreon.com/major spoilers. Heck, we'd even let you sit in and listen to the show live for that amount. But really, $5 a month, that is the sweet spot that we're talking about. So Clay went above and beyond this month by becoming a gold member. Not only does Clay get access to the Major Spoilers Podcast pre-show, where I'm talking about some of the cool Superman merch, but he also gets access to the VIP live chat. He gets access to Critical Hit a week early, character sheets, and a whole lot more. Gold level, I think there's up to 8 bonus episodes a month, maybe something like that. I don't know. Find out more today. Patreon.com/major spoilers. All right, Matthew. Apparently there's another comic book movie in the theaters this week.
Ooh.
First it was Superman. Then, of course, now you've got Marvel like, well, we would like to have our very first major success also in the movie theaters this week. We would like to release Fantastic Four. And I guess the movie theaters are like, yes, please, we want money.
All right.
And so this week, Fantastic Four for Steps arrives in theaters. And so instead of going back and like reading granted, Jack Kirby, Fantastic Four, great stuff, right? Stan Lee, Fantastic Four, great stuff. But I thought we'd take a look at something a little bit more recent that took place right after it wasn't the Midnight Sun. What was that vampire arc that just happened like 2 years ago?
Blood Hunt.
That's it. And right after Doom saved everything. But before we got into the latest, what is this Doom thing called? Doom Dynasty?
One world under Doom.
One world under Doom. So right in between those, Ryan North and Carlos Gomez were decided to write the Fantastic Four. But instead of writing a bunch of ongoing, like multi-issue arcs, they decided to tell 2-issue arcs, which just like chef's kiss for this idea. The only other thing that would be better would be done in ones, which I'm also a big fan of. Paul Dini did that with Batman a few years ago. More than a few years ago, like 20 years ago. And it was great. But I went looking, and a number of people online said, hey, Fantastic Four number 23 and 24 of this Ryan North run is really, really good, and people should check it out. And I dig it because in the first issue, it is Johnny Storm telling his point of view of the story, and the second issue is Reed Richards telling his part of the story. And the story centers around these particles, atom-sized particles bombarding the earth and causing all sorts of havoc and chaos. And so thanks to Reed Richards and his fantastic car technology, he can shrink everybody down to neutron size, and they discover that these aren't just atoms that are pelting the earth, but these are little tiny spaceships. And inside these little tiny spaceships are a bunch of dead aliens, except for one of them that chokes Johnny Storm out by the end of issue 23.
I just love the fact that the title of the issue is the one where the Human Torch gets choked.
I know, right? I think it's like gets choked out by an alien, I think is the full title.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm warning you ahead of time. I like how, so this is really also kind of fantastic. Well, because the second issue, 24, is Reed Richards telling what happened after that and how the aliens, and it's really kind of telling and kind of a really good mirror to society kind of story where these really super rich aliens saw that their planet was dying. And so they all decided to get in spaceships and escape, except that they didn't plan for what was going to happen when they got to their destination. So they all died, except for the richest one who came up with this idea of fleeing to space because that's how you save civilization. You getting the picture now, ladies and gentlemen? And that one survives. And it turns out that alien, she is evil. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating second half to that story and how Reed defeats the alien and sees the universe die, essentially.
Yeah. And it has a moment that ties into Al Ewing's Eighth Cosmos bit, which I don't know if you're familiar with.
No,
that.
I'm not.
Dates back to the first post-Ultimate Comics run of the Ultimates, where the team was Captain Marvel, Photon, Ms. America, the Blue Marvel, and somebody else in space. Galactus was one of their members for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, the Eighth Cosmos basically indicates the eighth reality of the Marvel Universe. There's a really great Defenders storyline that goes back through the previous 7 Moses, the Cosmoses. And I really appreciate when a writer actually name checks a story that another writer did. It feels like that's the basis of the shared universe, the Marvel shared universe. But these days, it doesn't seem to happen. Once you're done, all of your cool stuff goes away. This whole run of Fantastic Four, while I'm not necessarily down with all of the art, I do appreciate the art in these 2 issues. And I cannot stand Johnny Storm's porn stash. But these 2 issues and this whole arc this is what I remember the Fantastic Four being back in the 80s. I was really lucky. First Fantastic Four issue I picked up was right in the middle of Byrne's weird, adventures into the unknown run.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just picking up this crazy, bizarre stuff. So much like some people say, well, the X-Men aren't superheroes. They are, by the way. I never thought of the Fantastic Four as like the Avengers or the Justice League. They're these weird dudes who go out and look at strange planets and then happen to have superpowers. And this really encapsulates that for me in a really fun way. And I will say this, North has a grasp on these characters and can take like multiple expectations of them. Like Johnny Storm is the youngest member of the team.
Yeah.
Johnny's weird.
Well,
and he's
no, not in this. Not in this story. He's not the youngest member of the team because we got Franklin. We got what's the daughter's name? Valeria. And then we've got Johnny's wife is in this, right? Isn't she in here?
Ben's
Crystal?
wife. Yeah.
Oh, Ben's wife. Okay.
Ben's wife, Alicia, and Ben and Alicia have 2 kids. They have adopted a Cree and a Skrull.
Okay. I thought Johnny Storm's wife, what's her name? Crystal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, isn't she
Crystal
in here too?
is an Inhuman. I
think she is.
So.
I think she was the older person kind of doing things. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that they were all in there. So yeah, the Franklin and the other one are in here too. So they are technically the youngest members of the Fantastic Four, which this is also that area where this is also maybe a little bit after that whole time period where you had not the Fantastic Four Society, but it was basically like, hey, we've got like 37
the Future Foundation.
Yeah, Future Foundation, that's right. Where you had like 37 different people who are all members of the Fantastic Four at the same time. This kind of felt like that, where it's like, well, there's technically not 4 of them if there are 8 people all shrinking down in size and trying to save squid aliens from little microscopic or quantum-sized spaceships.
This is another one, and I feel like, for me, when you look at a Fantastic Four story, what is it saying? What is it about? And this is saying weird, crazy things happen, and somebody has to stop it, and who are you going to call? And that, for me, is kind of the selling point. This is like, you can see the Fantastic Four going and punching, bad guys in the streets or fighting Dr. Doom. If you read ahead to issue 25, they end up interacting with Dr. Doom, and Johnny actually falls in love with an alien who, I'm just saying, Johnny is very open-minded. But throughout this particular story, when they're in action, it is as kind of an exploring family, which bringing along Valeria, bringing along Franklin, bringing along the Grimm kids is neat because each of them has something that they can do that the others necessarily can't. And so when we get that story where Reed is the only one who ends up getting to shrink down into the, the Blurpenverse and seemingly dying for the rest of the universe at a microscopic size, it feels like everybody's going to lose their dad. And, what are we going to do without our dad? And then something cool happens and he's not dead. It's a superhero story or an adventure story without being a traditional, we're going to go and we're going to punch something until it falls down and we win.
Yeah.
And that's what's really neat about it. The exploration, the understanding, the trying to figure these things out and, fix the problems that are happening or understand the problems that are happening through science and intuition and clobbering time, Science,
we don't even really
clobbering time.
We don't really even get clobbering time in this, and so when I think of Fantastic Four stories, I literally think of these are stories that need to be fantastical, meaning larger in scope and idea and design than what you think, because you can tell a Spider-Man story, and Spider-Man can be like, oh yeah, and then this crazy alien came to town, and I had to web him up, and then I left a note and said, "Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." The end. And then you can tell stories that are street level gritty stories where I'm Daredevil and my street cries for me. And I said, I can't see you. And then you have, super stories where you do have these godlike beings that punch and crack heads and do all these things. But Fantastic Four, you're literally dealing with fantastical ideas of what if there was an alien race that shrunk themselves down to the size of a neutron and propelled themselves faster than the speed of light across the universe to escape their dying planet and finding a different civilization on which to live on. And what if there were a group of people who could shrink down to that size and deal with that problem without punching and fighting or beating things up or webbing people up and leaving a sticky note? What if you just tried to solve it, like you said, with science and brains and understanding and caring and doing what is
Excellent.
right, that to me is a Fantastic Four story. And that's why I really like this story, especially when they find the very last spaceship, and that spaceship gives them hope. And hope is not even wearing an S on its chest. And
No,
apparently will
on
become,
our planet it's a 4.
yeah, but apparently that is I don't know if that's an ongoing character or a recurring character that goes on in the comics. They seem to indicate at the end of issue 24 that, the Fantastic Four, somebody in the Fantastic Four will be taking care of this little alien baby.
Alien baby.
Yeah. So I don't know. You don't like the art?
I don't hate the art. This issue is not the ones that were making me angry. The first 5 or 6 issues of this particular run of Fantastic Four back in 2022 into 2023 had some real. Here's the thing. In a Fantastic Four story, you have to be able to make the Thing look awesome. The Thing needs to be big and monstrous, but also he needs to be the ever-loving blue-eyed idol of millions. And if you have a character who either doesn't look human enough or doesn't look thingy enough, then it kind of comes apart at the seams for me. These issues are really nice, especially when we see, the Fantastic Four hanging out on their ranch in Arizona and Ben's running around in cargo shorts and a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I love that stuff. I love when we have those moments where something strange has happened and we don't know why. Something hits Reed in the head and his whole head just splits and stretches, and oh my gosh, that's creepy. Never ever do that again. And I will say this, the new chest symbol designs are phenomenal. I really like the 4s.
Mm.
And every new artist, I think, gets a point where they're, oh yeah, I'm going to come up with a new guy and I'm going to do a new thing. And then She-Hulk's going to get a new boyfriend. And that's exactly how everything is going to work. And also the Spider-Mobile. I don't know if you saw the Spider-Mobile.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. We go in when we go into the, they've been living in Arizona, but they're like, hey, I've been keeping the Baxter building alive and functional, including all of the cars that we've ever created in the Fantastic Lab. And sure enough, you see the little miniature shrinking car, you see the original rocket ship, you see, a hot rod, you see the Thanos copter, and then you see the Spidey mobile running around in the background.
Yep. Their little pogo plane over in the corner.
Yeah.
That's the kind of detail that I really appreciate, because you don't have to have any idea what any of that is. It's just a cool shot. But it's a cool shot that if you go, oh yeah, that's the hot rod that Johnny was driving in issue 1.
Yeah.
What? Okay, that's funny. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It is cool. And I like how they keep everything in this looking new. And by new, I mean by current design standards, right? So when you think of current fashions, or you think of current cars, etc., that's all in here. But then when you get to the Reductocraft is what it's called. It's like, oh, that's a freaking Jack Kirby design.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I like how they're just like, oh yeah, we're going to pay homage to Jack Kirby by designing the Reductocar and making it totally a Jack Kirby car. So I really kind of appreciate that. And I like how alien the aliens are. I like how alien the spaceships are. I like the concepts that are being discussed here and the implications that are being discussed here. It's all really cool. It's I am very interested. So this is all collected in volume 2 of the Ryan run. It's called the Aliens, Ghosts, and Alternate Earths edition. So you can go pick that up again. There's a link in the show notes to the Amazon affiliate link. Since we have the entire trade, I want to go ahead and continue reading on this, because again, I don't get to read a lot of Marvel stuff. For me, it's like pick and choose. Most of the time it's Spider-Man. Let's see what's going on with Spider-Man. Occasionally it might be something that's going on with Doctor Strange or, New Champions or something like that. But I have always kind of steered clear of the Fantastic Four, but this is something I might continue reading. I want to see what's going on in between the time period between the vampires being put in their place and Doom saying, hey, pay allegiance to me, the entire world, because that's the way the world works.
Doom, da-doom, doom, doom.
Yeah.
You have to sing the song.
I don't know if I have to do that, but I did enjoy these first 2 issues. And so I have a feeling that if this is the case for the rest of the trade, I see there's a Gandalf the Grey and a woman in a Australian Outback hat, and a dog wearing a Jeff costume. I think I probably will enjoy the rest of this trade. You might too. Issue 27 has the Mole Man on the cover, so there's that going on. I'm going to say go pick up this trade. It's pretty good. And even if it's just for the first 2 stories, even if the rest of the book goes to crap, I think you're still going to be okay with what you get. So I'm giving this a thumbs up. What say you, Matthew?
I agree. I feel like there are some writers who really get Fantastic Four, and there are some who have to stretch the concepts to do what they want to do. I feel like North gets a classic Fantastic Four story in a way that some writers never can. And that is remarkable. And when you get to see moments, by the way, the things kids are like Nakano and Joven. I've been trying to think of their names for like 20 minutes here. I'm just sitting here and I'm going, what are their names? That's their names. But yes, I definitely recommend it. I feel like this is a creative team that is willing to do something kind of offbeat, kind of out there, and make the Fantastic Four something you can't get with any other super team. And that's really what you want from any book, is you want it to be something fun, something that, yes, it's recognizable adventure, but it's also something you won't be able to do anywhere else. You couldn't stick the Teen Titans, for instance, in this story and have it work the same way.
Oh man, I'm just looking at this run right now. This volume is issues 23 through 28, which is literally the time between the vampires and the Doom, because the issue begins with, we fought off the vampires and Doom went to go live in Latveria and is leaving everyone alone, and literally ends with continued in One World Under Doom. There you go. All right, everybody, that wraps it up for this installment of the Major Spoilers Podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and checking us out. If you found some value in the show, how about giving a little back? Become a patron over at patreon.com/Major Spoilers. I hope you all go see the Superman movie, or you get to go see Fantastic Four this weekend. Next week on the show, not quite Superman, not quite Fantastic Four. We will, however, be taking a look at John Byrne's Next Men. Why? Because we know that you love comics, and we do too. And we will talk with you soon.
If I had the X-ray vision of a Superman, I could save a few bucks and stand around and read through the covers of the comics on the stand. But although every other page would be backwards, I suppose I could still read the evens and the eons. Well, I don't know. Guess I haven't thought this all the way through. Plus, as soon as the comic book store guy knew, they kicked my butt out on the corner. What a major spoiler! What a major spoiler! Think about a better way. If I was hulking green or gray, I could just bust through that brick wall, take their comic books away. But then the little meat would deal with all the tanks and bombs and guns. Have you ever tried to read a series with all that going on? Guess I need to rethink this plan. How would I back and board my comics with such huge hands? Guess I already told ya. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. If I'm Stark Raven, rich like a man of iron, I might not be surprised to find that I might actually have the heart cold to follow an entire storyline. But would I really even need to read up on all those escapades? I mean, who needs such distractions when your sister's such a babe? But the downside is such a beast, being shot up in a funny in the Middle East with a gang sign throwing soldier. What a major spoiler! What a major spoiler! Yeah, yeah, yeah! What a major spoiler! Whoa, 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 whoa! What a major spoiler!
This podcast is copyright 2025 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.